Hey, this is the Catholic Circle, bringing conversation to the table. We're your hosts, Marcus Furnari and Charles Mwaura. Charles, what's up, my man?
Dude, I'm doing great. Just chilling, enjoying the day. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we kind of, well, I would say we have a treat today for the viewers and listeners. We called Mark Wahlberg to come in. We thought he was going to come in, and he got held up. He wasn't able to come in. And then we reached out to Matt Fratt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't available.
He was unavailable.
I tried contacting a couple bishops from around the Midwest. They were busy doing bishop things.
So pretty much after going to like the first 30 people of wanting to come on the show, we finally just we paid some homeless people to come in, and well, they're here now. So we have our guests today, Pius Nsoh-Awasom and Owen Shields. These are great friends of ours, actually. They go to our home parish. They're seminarian brothers of mine, unfortunately. God have mercy on us. How's it going today, you guys?
It's going pretty well. It's good to be here. Marcus, first of all, you go to our parish. And make that clear.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But I'm good. I am doing really well. It's glad to be here. Glad to be back. This is before these two guys were here. They think they run this place now, but last summer I worked at Catholic Radio, and it was a great experience. So it's good to be back over this break.
Don't let him deceive you, listeners. Owen, he was like taking out the garbage and stuff. That was just about it.
That was one time. I took the garbage one
He
time.
licking stamps. He was the coffee boy most of the time. Yeah, he thought he was bigger than what he was. So, no, thanks for coming in today, guys. We're going to be talking about life in the seminary. So this should be, I don't even know how this conversation is going to unfold with these two goofballs here. So
I think we could say it should be interesting.
Very.
First of all, this is going to be one of the best shows you've ever had. This is going to be awesome.
You know, Father Drew, Father Bartlett, they were our other shows, so...
Father Manson.
I mean,
you're calling them out.
Difficult to the top, but
that is true.
We'll see where it goes.
Well, I don't know about Father Bartlett. He's, I'm just joking, Father. I love you. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, we all have a little bit of experience in the seminary. I recently discerned out Marcus is currently in the seminary, and these two guys are in the seminary, so we should have a little bit to talk about. Without further ado, Marcus, you want to start us off with a question for these guys?
Well, Pius, so tell me, how long have you been in the seminary now?
I've been in the seminary for 4 years.
Which seminary do you go to?
I attend St. Gregory the Great Seminary in Nebraska.
And you've gone there all 4 years?
All 4, straight from high school.
So you're about to graduate?
About to graduate.
Amen.
Less than about a month. About a month. It's going to be awesome.
Praise Jesus.
Amen. It's about time.
Where are you going afterwards?
I will be attending Kenrick Glennon, hopefully.
Where's that at?
It's in St. Louis.
Okay.
That's where I'll be studying theology for, God willing, 4 years after that. So after graduation. So I'm looking forward to it. It's been a good time. It's been a good time at St. Greg's. I'm going to miss it, but I'm looking forward to the future.
So just so our listeners know as well, the seminary process, obviously it's formation towards the priesthood, but usually that takes around 8 years for most people. Unless they come in with a bachelor's degree, then it's usually about 6 years. So it's 4 years of philosophy and then 4 years of theology. So you're about to go and finish your last 4 years.
That's right.
God willing, of course.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Well, I guess we should maybe talk about Owen.
Yeah, you
want
to ask me a question, Marcus?
Not really. Are you wearing socks today? I mean,
I am.
Speaking of dress attire. So this is a Catholic radio. This is a radio show. But what Marcus didn't tell us is that this show is also being recorded for a YouTube video or some other video that's gonna be online. So we came in just casual, obviously. Look at Owen, look at me.
Yeah, I look kind of like a homeless person.
And then look at Marcus. And then he insults us for coming in looking homeless. And then look at it, but he didn't tell us that this was going to be on video. So
I sabotaged you guys.
He did.
That's true.
We'll get you back. You know I always get you back.
Yeah. Oh, talking about that, last time Pius got me back, so I kind of did this, I went and visited the seminary, say hi to the guys a month ago or something like that. And I pranked Pius. I thought it was pretty funny. But nonetheless, he wanted to get me back, and before I left, the man filled up my car with balloons, Well, first he hid my car, and then he filled it up with balloons and sticky notes.
Yep.
And so I finally found my car. I had to leave, and it's just filled to the brim. I couldn't even open up the doors. And
Told you, man, don't play with me.
it was big things,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
All right, so
of course.
Owen, where do you go to seminary at?
I also go to St. Grady the Great Seminary in Seward, Nebraska.
I'm sorry, Pius. You have to deal with him all the time.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 3 years now. So
Actually, Owen used to prank me all the time, too. He's hid my bed a couple times.
Yes.
For the viewers, so I would see that's how you prank. You hide beds in the seminary, people.
That
Okay,
is
just letting you know.
That is a big seminary thing, hide people's beds. But I only did this. I only hid his bed because he was picking on a first-year guy.
that is true.
One of my good friends, his name is Skylar. He was being bullied by Marcus. Marcus would take his bed, hide it wherever, down in the medicine closet, somewhere else. So Skylar comes to me, and I'm looked up to at the seminary. Really.
Oh yeah.
He comes to me for advice.
Even the rector there looks up to you.
Yeah, sometimes he does. But people come to me for advice. And so he comes to me and says, I have this person bothering me. What can you help me? It's like, oh, who is it? Oh, it's Marcus. Oh, this guy. So what I do is we're going to take his bed, right? And so he has the idea of putting it in the kitchen, which, okay, that's one level. But we want to take it to the next step. So we take it and we put it in the kitchen, and then we have this a freezer, and we put his bed in the freezer.
Big walk-in freezer.
Big walk-in freezer. So
Sister Beth, Sister Carmen, if you're listening to this, you know who did it now. You know what just happened. Father Eichhoff, recognize. Okay, Owen did that to me. Okay, I'm the victim here.
Yeah, it was fun.
No, that was actually one of the best practical jokes that have happened to me. I opened up the door of the freezer and there's my mattress. And I was just like, what the heck? I didn't even know how to react, just aside from pure joy, because I was like a mastermind, an evil mastermind.
No, but it was actually like a very stealthy operation. I had to get like 10 people in on it with me because Monsignor, who was a spiritual director at St. Grady the Great, was in the refectory, our cafeteria where we eat, and he was sitting at the table. So we couldn't just bring it straight through. We couldn't just do it normally, bring it straight through. So we snuck it around the backside and then had guys form a wall to block. And so as we moved in it was super cool. It felt like a secret mission. But we got his mattress in the freezer. So
is that all that happens at the seminary?
That's all Owen does is just practical jokes.
Joker.
He's not even a seminarian. He just lives there and does practical jokes most of the time.
All right, so can you walk us through like a normal day in the seminary, aside from stealing beds and pranking Marcus?
A normal day in the seminary. So most days we're required to be in chapel at 6:30. We start by doing the Angelus. And then we have 15 minutes of meditation. So start the day off with prayer. And that's kind of the main focus around seminary life. It's not just stealing mattresses, but it's the main focus is prayer, centered on Christ. So we have meditation in the morning, and then we have morning prayer, which is part of the Liturgy of the Hours. And then we have Mass afterwards. And then we go into, from there, breakfast. And then in the morning, there's 3 blocks for classes. And then we have lunch, and then there's 2 more blocks for classes. And then we have, on some days, we have Holy Hour with Eucharistic adoration, with exposition. And then we have evening prayer at 5:30, dinner afterwards, and then sort of after dinner, there's a time for recreation, and then from 8 to 9 is study hour, where most guys will study. Marcus doesn't, but most guys do. And then we have night prayer at 9:15. So as you can see, there's a lot. It's structured on prayer. Obviously, it's school too, so we have our classes that we go to.
It's a long day. It's a very long day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, it just seems like there's tons of little stuff to do, and it's always back to back to back to back. But as Owen said, It's centered on Christ, which is one of the most beautiful aspects of the seminary. You live in community with the other men. There's challenges with that sometimes, but I think more than anything, there's a lot of fruit that's gained because you just receive so many incredible friendships throughout the seminary. So there's the community aspect, and then it's centered on the Eucharist and prayer, and then just growing intellectually towards Christ too, and the information which you're learning.
Yeah, and also, although there is a lot to do, there's a lot of classes and prayer time. There's also free time too. There's a community room at most seminaries where people play video games, watch sports. I know Owen's really big into sports. March Madness, they have a March Madness bracket going on, competition in the seminary. There's organized sports. Pius is a big soccer player.
Owen thinks he's good at sports.
Marcus doesn't play sports.
Yeah,
Marcus,
can't play
what sports
sports.
do you play? Tell the people, what sports do you play, Marcus?
Bro, you just don't want me to go out there and embarrass everyone.
Yeah,
That's
right.
why.
You
Rock
embarrass
climbing.
your
I
family.
They disown me if they saw me play sports. I stay in the weight room.
Yeah.
I'll work out, do my workouts, and then I'll call it good.
Sure.
I'll play some ping pong.
He's not good at that.
Okay, Charles, you know what? There's no talking from you, okay? You're not even in the seminary.
I won't beat him 21 to 5.
The biggest, so listener, just the biggest accomplishment of Marcus's life was when the day that he beat me in ping pong.
That was a glorious day. I do gotta say though.
He cried, and told everybody that he saw that day.
I didn't cry.
There was a tear in his eye.
I saw it. I was sweating from my eyes.
It was 100 times, and then you beat me.
But what he didn't realize is Owen actually played with his left hand.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. All right, let me ask you guys, because the conversation is going by really quickly. What has been the best thing about the seminary for you?
Best thing about the seminary, I'd say, is just being there. I don't know. There's so much to it. It's a compilation of a lot, and it's a program. It's tied together. It's linked. I think the just being there, it's a different, most different thing that I could ever imagine myself doing. It's very unique and very joyful. It's super amazing, super fun time, and I've grown so tremendously. Grown so much intellectually, spiritually, humanly, pastorally. I'm more compassionate to people. Just things that I've seen in myself that I've just gotten to know, and that I appreciate now, and I love the church a lot more now because I've learned about the church and the bride of Christ, and gotten that much closer to Him in my time in seminary. That this is just something that I cherish, and I will cherish for the rest of my life. Whether or not I become a priest, that is God's will. That's to be determined. But the seminary has just given me so much, and I'm thankful for all the support that I've gotten from people. Thankful to God for the opportunity to study, and to learn and be closer to Him. So, I think that's been the most. I don't know. It's hard to pick one favorite thing about seminary. It's very difficult. So maybe Owen can. You?
So I guess. My favorite thing about seminary in general is, I kind of mentioned it before, I guess part of it is just the aspect that it's centered on Christ. And that all the guys at seminary, it's a brotherhood that are all geared towards the same thing. They're all striving to be better men, to be holy men. And it's oriented towards priesthood for sure, but I guess the main thing is just becoming a better Catholic man, and knowing that every single guy there wants that same thing, and that support that is shown. It's like Pius was saying, it's different than any other place, because it's a whole separate world. It feels like when you're in seminary, especially being up at St. Greg's, we're kind of secluded. We're in the middle of a cornfield.
True.
It's all in one building, so you don't even have to go outside for weeks if you don't want to. So I'd say that's the thing about seminary, is just the aspect of all the guys striving for the same thing, and seminary just being a place where you have the opportunity to grow as a man, as a Catholic.
Just to give the listeners an idea too, and when he was saying and talking about brotherhood, I mean, we live with 50 other guys, so we wake up, we pray with them, we eat with them, we go to class with them, we study with them, and sometimes we room with them as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like these men you grow so close to because you're there over and over and over and over. And what I love about the seminary is just like, as you guys are saying, it's the best way maybe I can try to explain it, just an analogy. It's almost like a mother's womb, where like here is the child, and the child is there to be protected by the mother inside and to grow. And that's what the seminary is kind of like. Sometimes it feels like a prison because you're stuck there. Yep. And you can't really go do what you want. But but overall, like, you're growing, and you notice that over the years, and it's just one of the most beautiful aspects. So, and
I know Pius mentioned this, but there's 4 pillars that most seminaries focus on in forming a man. There's the intellectual formation, with their studies and studying philosophy, focus a lot on Thomas Aquinas and other Catholic philosophers. Then there's the spiritual formation, how you grow in your prayer life. All seminarians are required to have a spiritual director, and that just help them grow in their prayer life and form a structured prayer schedule. They really emphasize doing a holy hour every day. The next one is human formation, how you're interacting with your brothers, also forming you to be able to interact with your future parishioners, God willing. And then the final one is pastoral, because one day, not everyone who goes to seminary becomes a priest, but when they do become a priest, they have to know how to take care of the flock, because the bishop being the primary shepherd for a diocese, he can't reach out to everyone, right? So he has the pastors, and seminaries have to form these men to one day become good pastors. So those are like the 4 main forming pillars, right? Mm-hmm. The pillars of formation. So
it can also be pretty stressful. I mean, just for an example, when Pius first joined the seminary, he used to have a full head of hair, and for those who can see this right now, he has none.
First of all, at least I can grow a beard, Marcus.
Not at St. Greg's, man. We got teachers on us all the time.
That's right. In a month I can grow a beard after I graduate. So
you're gonna be looking like a black Amish man pretty soon.
Like a month. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great.
Anyway,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. We've talked about what your favorite thing about seminary is. What are some struggles you've faced while being in seminary?
I guess I think it was kind of mentioned too, but the aspect of seminary kind of being like a prison, you kind of feel sort of trapped sometimes, because there's long periods of time where you don't get home much. You especially get caught up in studies where you're burdened with a lot of things. So I think that's one of the tough things, is that just getting caught in the daily routine of life, and not really seeing the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes. But I think it helps to realize that, like you were saying, Charles, that seminary is to form men, and we can't always be out there doing a whole bunch of things, and it's really important to get formed in those seminary years, because they're so important.
I mean, the apostles went through formation. St. Paul went through formation before he started to evangelize. Yeah. So, I mean, as we got to go through that formation before we're truly able to be those disciples of Christ,
Yeah, one thing that when I was in seminary, is...
Wait, you're in the seminary?
I was, Marcus. I was.
Wow.
Are you in the seminary?
I think.
Sometimes I forget. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, one of the things that I really struggled with was taking each day taking one day at a time, and not getting caught up with like, oh man, I'm gonna be a priest one day, or just that battle formation of discernment, really. And then the Gospel of Matthew reminds us, don't worry about tomorrow, because today has enough worries of its own. So just I think that was my biggest struggle. Just my biggest, thing that I was working on is like, just take one day as it comes and like ask God, like, how do you want me to grow today? How do you want me to be a better man? How do you want me to grow in my studies? Et cetera, et cetera. Pius, what about you?
I think the biggest difficulty that I had was initially when I got to seminary. It was kind of what Owen was talking about, the fear factor. Part of it was the fear factor. I was like thinking about how I'm giving up my life and what am I doing here. You just get there and you realize it's actually happening. The walls are around you. Your family is gone. Things like that. It just hits you all of a sudden. You laying down in your bed at night and looking at the ceilings. I'm like, I'm here. I'm at seminary. It's crazy. So that was difficult initially, and then being there, being cut off in a sense, cut off from the world, and just staying there, studying there, and that's you really don't have as much freedom as you have outside of seminary. So that was challenging. I mean, I think it's still a challenge, but I think the biggest struggle for me is that compiled with when I leave seminary. I think that's sometimes more difficult than being in seminaries when I come back home and I have the quote freedom, and I'm hit with the realities of the outside world now, the sin and the lack of God in the society and things like that. That becomes really difficult, and then sometimes girls, see them again, you appreciate them in a different way, because they're God's creation. You see that that's something that you've given up for the sake of Christ. So seeing things like that sometimes is more challenging, and then maintaining the prayer life because you're on your own. So you in a sense you think you have more freedom, but freedom truly is found in Christ and in following Him unreservedly. So that's, I think, just sometimes being home, I think it's more of a challenge as a seminarian.
I think also for like myself, you were mentioning how sometimes you can feel like restricted and so forth. And I think through that restriction though, we learn to adjust our wills, of course, to God's. And like the more we can align our wills to God, the easier and more peace-filled it becomes. But once we start doing that, there's this like type of liberation that just kind of engulfs us and fills us. And just for simple examples, like detaching ourselves from our family and friends, as hard as that is, there's this type of like independence and grace that comes with it, because now we're having to cling ourselves to Christ instead. Also detaching ourselves from these like instant comforts like Facebook maybe, or watching TV all the time, or just always having these like types of stimulant right in front of us to where we have to like, oh, I got to be satisfied. We start learning as we go through the seminary to like get rid these things from ourselves, and we start actually, I think we start becoming actually more in touch with reality. Sometimes it may be like boring or whatever, but filling that time with something that's wholesome and good and fruitful, spending time with another human person, or reading a good book. Right. Like those are better quality spent times than, let me hop on Netflix. I'm guilty though. I like to hop on Netflix. I like to watch movies, sure. But it's just taught me like where the virtuous things lie, and like where we can truly get in touch with the presence of God in reality. But aside from like going super deep, because we are kind of running out of time here pretty soon, why don't we talk about real quick like some of your guys' funniest or funnest experiences in the seminary? Ooh. Like what comes to mind? Are you guys gonna roast me or
we always
Charles?
We always do that, Marcus.
You try, but it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I do it to myself.
Wow. There's definitely a lot of funny moments, especially being with 50 other guys. Things can get a little not out of hand, but just I don't know. You just have fun with the guys. Just every moment is just like boys' night.
Yeah. I think you make your own fun. You make your own fun because you're there together. Everybody's quirks. You know what makes people laugh. You know what makes them tick. So you just know the vibe. You just know the vibe, and you try to have as much fun with it as you can. Owen, I don't even know. Owen, you're.
I just gotta say, last semester after Owen put my bed in the freezer, I retaliated by TPing his room and putting his mattress in his shower.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do remember that.
What was your reaction? You're just like, oh.
I knew it was Marcus. But I don't know. Like, I guess I sort of deserved it, but like my mattress was kind of wet too, so.
No, it wasn't. Don't say that. I'm gonna have to pay for a new mattress.
We should tell them about Friday nights.
Oh yeah, Friday
nights are fun.
Friday nights are good. We always have on Friday nights we have a community night, so we do different things. We'll go out sometimes. We went to a hockey game. We usually go to a hockey game. Mini golfing's always a fun one.
Bowling.
Bowling, yeah. So just different games and stuff. We'll sometimes stay at the seminary. We had this movie night that one time where we acted out different scenes of movies. That was super fun, super funny.
So funny.
And so just different stuff like that, little things here and there that really keep the fun going. I know Charles and Pius, with Charles and I first year at seminary, Pius is second. We always do a talent show every year.
Yeah.
And so we dabbled in the rap game there for a minute. And
He's the worst rap you'd ever hear.
Marcus
First of
didn't
all-
even hear it.
Marcus doesn't even know.
Marcus hates on everything, even if he doesn't know it. He just hates
That's
on
true.
it.
But so anyway, so we had this talent show coming up. So like, what we're gonna do, and we decided we're gonna do a rap. And so one of the most fun times I've had just hanging out with these guys is coming up with the rap. We did it we were in a car ride and kind of just bouncing things off each other, and our rap was about the different priests that live at the seminary, and so we did the rap and performed it at the talent show, and it was super super fun. So it was always a good time, and
Epic.
different at the talent show. Different people do different things. Some serious, some funny, but it's a good time.
Yeah.
Everyone laughed at your guys' rap though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
At
what-
it. Not like
No,
with
no,
it,
no, no,
but
no,
they
no.
laughed at it. You just
No.
said yeah.
No, they were laughing because it was funny. Marcus, when you did your talent,
Yeah, Marcus.
Everybody was-
at
first
the
of all,
talent show. No one knew what he was.
everyone
doing.
was confused.
Everyone loved
Everyone
mine.
is still.
I did
confused.
not.
It was an anti. It was an
You know what makes
anti-talent.
that false?
It was an anti-talent.
You know what makes that statement false? You said everyone loved it.
Did you?
No.
Nope, I
you
did
laughed
not.
though.
I was laughing at
At
you.
you.
That's okay. I mean,
Tell
everyone
the
laughed.
people your talent. What you think your talent was. Tell them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the show that I put on first off
Was
on
not
the
a
state was it was produced by a man named Jack Rushoff, who
Oh
pretended to be a seminarian for a year.
He was.
And well, regardless, he gave me the great idea to get in front of everyone and to do an anti-talent. So pretty much my show was that of teaching myself to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the piano without rehearsing it or practicing at all. And I have no piano talent or experience whatsoever. So I literally just got in front of everyone. I had a piano and I started from scratch. I had I manifested this character, like the ultimate homeschooler prototype who like hasn't seen a person their whole life. I rolled up my blue jeans and I tucked in my shirt, and I don't know how else to explain it except that I just like struggled my way through the entire song and I barely got through it.
Everyone was confused the whole time.
They were laughing.
I
have
didn't
the
know
video.
if I
have
should be
evidence.
mad or to just laugh. I didn't know how to
People
feel.
loved that show so much. I made people cry out of humor.
Sadness.
Absolute sadness.
Anyway, we're running out of time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you guys a minute. If someone is thinking about joining the seminary but they're intimidated, what advice would you give them? Just
I would say that there would be no reason to be intimidated. That if you feel like God is calling you to something greater, whether you think that God might be calling you to be a priest or you're not sure about it, that's what seminary is for, is to discern God's will in your life, to see if you are called to be a priest. And seminary is a great place for you to discover that, to talk with guys that are trying to discover that themselves. And it's just an atmosphere of brotherhood and a place where each person is trying to grow closer to God and discover what God is calling them to do. So I'd say it'd be a great thing if you were thinking about it to join the seminary, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, here talking to seminarians, seeing their opinions and seeing what they think about seminary, and then visiting seminaries as well. Just go spend time there. But ultimately, I think it's God's call. It's the call of Christ, and if Christ is calling you to this, what is your response going to be? That's what it boils down to, is what am I willing to do for Christ? Do I want to do great things for Him? Do I want to settle for things that are less? What do I want to do? Are you willing to step up and be a man and go out and do it? Do what you ought to do. That's ultimately what it boils down to. It's not easy. It's not a game. It's serious and it's awesome and it's very peaceful. And if you get a slight call, just dive in as St. Peter would. Leave his father behind and follow Christ. That's what, if he's calling you, follow him. That's what I'm saying.
My 2 cents real quick would just be, if it is something that's on your mind, you're discerning, get yourself a spiritual director, and just go and spend time in front of the tabernacle several times a week, you guys. Even if it's for 10 minutes, it'll severely help your discernment, and God will pour His grace into you. So that would be my recommendation.
Definitely. Right. If you have the smallest inclination, just go. Nothing can go wrong. Just trust your life into God's hands, and He will lead you in a very beautiful path. We are out of time. Thank you very much, Owen and Pius, for coming in, sharing your experiences. Marcus, thanks for
thanks for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Charles. Owen, you want to refill my coffee real quick? Here's my mug. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us here on the Catholic Circle. Catch us next time, where we bring more conversation to the table. I'm Charles. This is Marcus. God bless.
God bless.
Peace out.